Welcome.
Welcome
to the news.
to the news.
Have I got news for you?
Yeah, probably.
Not that show. It's another show.
No, that's much more popular than us, I think.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. 11 views consistently.
Yeah, that's fairly consistent.
Fairly consistent.
I'm becoming full time with the Buzz as well. I'm liking that.
Yeah.
Kicked the James out.
The James is
Screw that guy.
Yeah, that's the hot topic this week. No. So yeah, it's been a kind of interesting week with lots of topics coming up on which both of us are sort of similarly indifferent to, but we're going to try
Yes.
and talk about as much as possible. But that's our angle, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know. Should we start with a nice light one and talk about the new 3DS?
Let's start with the 3DS. So it's got an extra button.
It's got like an extra back button.
An extra back button.
I believe, and an extra stick. Which is meant to be like the GameCube C stick because it's called the C button.
I don't remember playing a GameCube game that really used the C stick that much.
Yeah, well, as much as most things use the right thumbstick.
I suppose.
Basically, it's a right thumbstick, but really tiny and in quite a strange place to choose because it seems like it's not going to be a very natural, all comfortable thing to do. But hard to say without holding it and trying it.
That's true.
Yourself. So.
It is actually an improvement in hardware, and it's not that weird, I suppose, because we had an Advance and an Advance SP. We had 3 Game Boys.
Yeah,
it's
not the strangest thing. I mean, Nintendo wants some money, and
it is a little unnecessary. But then I really wanted an SP after I never got one in the end because I was like, wow, that's just a better version of what I already have. So really some people will probably buy it. There's no problem with that.
Yeah, it depends. I might get one depending on how many games they announce for it that need it. At the moment, it's only a port. I believe is a port of the Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, which is apparently awesome. But
you can get the original one on your PC or something. So
well, I've got the Wii games, so
I
haven't played it yet. That's why I said apparently, but I do have it. So there's that. So Nintendo doing a Nintendo thing. The other Nintendo thing that happened was Miyamoto. I was going to try and pronounce his first name. Won't bother.
Shigati, I think.
Yeah, that'll do.
That's a good.
Has been in Edge magazine this week saying about how Nintendo's trying to move towards the hardcore and away from the masses and kind of insulted the casual audience a little bit. Which is kind of strange considering he's insulting the type of audience that apparently they created.
Yeah, but if you, I guess, I don't know. First up, it's a deliberately vague statement. If you look at it, what does it really mean?
Well, I guess you can't really piss off the masses in a hardcore gaming magazine.
No,
because the supposed people he's probably talking about
probably don't read it.
Don't read gaming journalism in general, I would imagine.
No, precisely.
Whereas the hardcore are probably much more likely to go, now we're going to get good Zelda games or something. To me, it sounded a lot like he was just kind of pandering to get people on his side and sort of try and justify their choices with the Wii U. Yeah. Which I do kind of agree. It's kind of, we said in the last video that we thought the Wii U was more of a hardcore console if you look at it from a...
See, because I saw the argument that the Wii wasn't a hardcore console, but the Wii U kind of is.
Yeah.
And the Wii, even then, I'd even say the Wii had plenty of actually good games on it. Yeah. So, I suppose the thing I have there is it is a bit too vague for me. I don't know really what he means, and he does seem to be, like you say, pandering.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of just executive talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what Miyamoto is these days.
Yeah, he's not so hands-on, I think, with the process anymore. So
yeah, definitely not. He's but yeah, he always whenever he says things, it's always interesting as well. He's not, I guess, because he doesn't do so much corporate speak as the others.
Yeah,
as like maybe American companies do.
Yeah, and he was actually a game maker or a designer of stuff.
Designer of some of the things that defined the format.
Yeah, precisely. So he was involved, and I'm sure he still has an understanding of how it works compared to certain
He still made Wii Music, I believe. Was probably the last game he was hands-on with, apparently. I don't know, it was a bit of flapping around, basically.
I'm trying to remember if I played it. I definitely played a music game on Wii that was trying to be like Rock Band, but without any...
It was like an orchestra and you play with Mii's, essentially.
Okay.
But in other news, we move away from the Nintendos and into the realm. There's been a lot of indie stuff this week. Zoe Quinn, who made a game called Depression Quest, which has been free recently on Steam and may potentially still be, not sure. Free because of Robin Williams passing away.
Yes, and this has caused controversy.
Of which we're not too sure of the specifics.
But indiscriminate nature.
But apparently Hugh gave me the lowdown of Zoe Quinn's controversy.
Well, she's had a few recently. Again, I don't know that this happened, so I don't really like giving too much thing to it. But apparently she slept with someone in a gaming magazine, which I should remember the name of, but I haven't because I'm not that pro. And he then gave her a good review. He may have just liked the game, you know. Also, apparently, she copyright striked someone on YouTube, and in a way that annoys everybody.
Yeah.
But then again, she's accused of doing this. Total Biscuit actually did. This was actually about a week ago that I read this specific thing. Yeah. Total Biscuit did a thing saying, "Well, if she did it, that was a stupid thing to do, but no one's proved to me that she actually did it."
Yeah.
But then I guess we're not really sure what the current controversy is.
It's also kind of very strange when people. This is something that I guess happens a lot with indie games. It happened with Fez and Fish as well.
Yeah.
In an entirely kind of different way. But when you've got indie games and indie developers who don't have PR people so much and put themselves in the limelight, it's very weird how people can't disassociate the person and the game.
Yeah.
And still. Because I find that a lot of people go. Because Depression Quest is kind of a controversial-ish game as it was, because it's a difficult subject, and still a lot of people in real life don't really know how to approach depression, because they still think people should just cheer up, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Because we're modern now. People should understand better. But that's one of the things that Depression Quest seeked to change and try and make people understand. I haven't played it, so I don't know what the game is like.
If it's not free, I'm going to be annoyed I haven't played it now, because I should have got it whilst it was free.
Anyway,
I might pay money for it anyway, give it a go.
See what it's like. It's not going to be that much.
A lot of people seem to think it's quite good, and the original flame war relating to Zoe Quinn was basically that she dared. It seems to be that she dared to release a game on a controversial subject or something, and it's just so many trolls.
I think leads us quite nicely into the next subject of the lady I can't pronounce the name of.
Anita Sarkeesian.
Yes, who does a series called Tropes, Women versus Tropes,
which Tropes versus Women in Gaming.
Versus Women in Gaming, which I haven't seen, but sounds actually quite like the sort of thing, because I hadn't heard of it until recently.
Oh, really?
Even though you mentioned her, but I don't think you'd mentioned the show, so I didn't really know who it was. So until this thing, which I only found out about like a day or so ago, and haven't had a chance to watch because it's half an hour long.
Yeah. And we're busy people.
But sounds like my cup of tea based on what I've read about it.
Well,
but she always gets a lot of shit, and she's made a new thing recently. Which I've read about, hence why I know what it is now. Which basically about women in video games and how they are used from what I understand, as background kind of illustration.
Yeah,
basically, and
it's kind of it's not just icon. It's this idea that they're part of the set of the game. I've watched her. I haven't seen that one. I've watched her first 3. Generally, I agree with what she says. I love games, but you know that these things are true. What I also find is that people accuse her of lying when I think she's just made mistakes. I make mistakes on this show, and it's only 3 episodes in. It happens. So
but we didn't get kickstarted. So.
True, we didn't get kickstarted, but nonetheless,
that sounded like a dig. It's not a dig. But she didn't get kickstarted, which is one of the reasons why I guess
that's in fact she was attacked for that before. You know, she was already being attacked during the Kickstarter. Yes. So they hadn't made a show yet, and they were annoyed at her.
But it's just another aspect of the whole situation. I guess is the Kickstarter element.
It's good at attracting controversy.
But well, I guess it's one of those shows that it kind of, I don't know if it seeks to make controversy, but it's going to by its nature. And one of the things with sexism, and when people write about sexism in games, is people get very defensive on the subject. I find it's a really strange thing where people take personal offence when you point out it's questionable material, and because it's not something that's specific to games, I would say.
No,
it's
kind of extending this thing which we already have for movies. We already have for cartoons. We're expanding it to game.
It's kind of a bad thing in society in general, but games is It's kind of more obvious in games because games has been brought up or it has evolved from what is a presumed kind of teenage boys sort of are the audience kind of thing,
to actually be part of our consciousness, part of our popular culture, I think.
Which is probably worth more discussion on another time.
Yeah,
but I guess a more in-depth discussion.
Yeah. I guess if I was going to defend it, I'd say when I was a kid playing games, my mum was someone who didn't like games and kept reading all this stuff.
Yes.
And it would annoy me, this idea that this one thing I did, I wasn't a completely depressed kid, but there's this one thing I did that if I was ever stressed, I could do it, and I wouldn't be stressed. And it annoyed me that my mum was going to try and ban me because she thought I was going to shoot up my school. Yeah. And I suppose it's an extension of this, is this idea that, this is my thing, please don't apply anything to it. I want it to be left alone.
I think the difference is, again, on the assumption that it is like this because I haven't watched it, the difference is this isn't kind of like this newspaper kind of scaremongering thing of like games are going to kill people or they're going to turn people into murderers. It's just a kind of legitimate look at some of the things that are wrong with something, and there's no harm in saying, for instance, Mortal Kombat's a great game, but it over-sexualises a lot of the women, and it's sort of dodgy.
Tekken too. Tekken's got worse. It started off okay, actually, Tekken.
That's probably to do with the fact they didn't have the power to do it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's being presumptuous, but that's kind of the way
Mortal Kombat has got worse.
Mortal
Kombat 1, Sonya Blade is the only woman.
Yes.
But she's not very sexualised, really.
Mortal Kombat's always had it a bit, but not loads. It did a lot in 9, but they seem to be addressing it in X, which is quite nice. They seem to have taken that on board. I always praising NetherRealm probably more than I should, but they do seem to listen, and it was a big complaint, like they were all in heels and showing too much skin, and like it's kind of okay, you don't want to censor everything, but it doesn't make sense from like a kind of context perspective within the game. I think was one of the big complaints was like, I know Mortal Kombat's not ultra realistic, but like these women don't really look like they're dressed for battle.
No, and they did at a certain point.
Well, in the old
Sonya
games
Blade
they did.
The
old school female ninjas might show a bit more flesh, but they still kind of seem combat suity-esque, and they were at least flat shoes and whatever. I don't know. I always kind of like
Cinderella's always looked weird, but then she's meant to be a queen with magic powers.
She's meant to be Bride of Frankenstein. But I always liked Mylena, just if on a side note, because she always seemed to be the most sexualised woman, and that worked for me because she's the one with the kind of fucked up monster face.
Yeah, she's the Baraka lady underneath it.
So it's kind of like it messes with your expectations a little bit, which I don't know if that's what they intended, but I always found that cool because you get like, I've got a bow, Jesus Christ, no, sort of thing.
Exactly.
And so Marlena's, and she's like my main character. So
I'm really bad at Mortal Kombat, and Rich and Jason are quite good. Okay,
what was next on the old agenda?
Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy. Yes, keep with the indies, I guess.
Yeah.
The Super Meat Boy. What's it called? Super Meat Boy World or something?
I can't actually remember.
I love Super Meat Boy. So I should remember the name.
Yeah, I mean the first Super Meat Boy's classic.
The Super Meat Boy guys who are like my favourite developers in all the world. Making a sort of new Super Meat Boy going to phones and Steam, which is not an endless runner, but it is automated running, I believe, so it has new levels and bosses and all the works. So that's cool. I'm up for more Super Meat Boy. I won't get it on my phone. Yeah. Phone games are not for me.
Yeah, but he's going on Steam, so
that works.
And I guess the thing that was there was people thought it might be an endless runner. They thought it might be a bit of a sellout kind of thing, but
it could still be.
It could still be a sellout, but right now it's looking okay. If you buy like speed shoes for $1, then you know it's a bit of a sellout.
It has put their eugenics game on hold a little bit, which is like what they call a cat lady simulator.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that was their first phone game, but I believe it's still happening.
Okay, it's just been put on delay.
Yes.
I guess they're trying to go for a selling IP.
Yeah.
On the subject of IPs, we've got a new IP to discuss.
From Bioware, of all people. What's it called? Shadow Realm. Which is part of this thing like Evolve was recently, where there's 4 players versus 1 other player, and from what we gathered from watching the material is that you are kind of all on one team, and then the other person is like the dungeon master in a Dungeon and Dragons kind of sense.
Yeah, it seems to be. We're not quite sure.
Yes.
Because we watched the trailer, we watched a little gameplay video. We're not totally
certain. 100% what was going on.
Yeah, but we think he spawns the people.
Basically, yeah. But the other thing we do know about this game is that it's going to have, in traditional Bioware fashion, a strong narrative, which is kind of interesting from a shared experience point of view.
Yes,
how they're going to pull that off, because Bioware like to probably going to have loads of romance options and stuff in. Because
they've done that before.
People get annoyed about that sort of shit.
People get annoyed, but then they all do it. In my experience,
people get annoyed like, they shoehorn in all the romance, and then it's not very good. But I think it's kind of like a trait of their game.
Yeah.
And it's like, they have to have bisexual characters in. It's like, is that really such a bad thing?
No,
I don't know. There probably is some legitimacy to the complaint of how their romance stories aren't good, but I find that their romance subplots are about as good as the plot of the rest of the game, in that they can be a little lacking in substance, but they're still very melodramatic, and I really fucking like Mass Effect, so I get drawn in. And Tally's my girl.
Nice.
Yes.
Don't know who that is.
Tally is my girl. Tally's Zora Vass Normandy.
Of course.
She's excellent.
I've
replayed Mass Effect 1. I actually started with Mass Effect 2. Restarted my story on Mass Effect 1 so I could get my own options in properly, because if you basically have all the worst ones if you don't. Right. And I still didn't get with any of the women in the first game because Tally wasn't an option, and I wanted to be 100% committed.
I see.
That's just the kind of guy I am.
So that's Bioware?
Yeah. Well, there was a couple of other things, I believe. They are escaping me right now.
Excellent.
There's been a lot of news this week.
There really has been a lot of news. They are escaping me too.
There's been PAX, but not a lot has really happened at PAX.
No.
I don't know if a lot normally happens at PAX.
I'm not so sure. PAX seems to be a fun one that people like to go to. Yeah. There's no big thing happens there.
Lots of the big games have had showings and looking about the same as they have done up until that point.
And of course,
it's very close to Gamescom. I think was the most recent one, wasn't it?
Yes,
so,
we did talk about Gamescom a little bit, but then there's not so much distance between the two. Yeah. So. I know what there was one thing is, of course, Pokken.
Yeah, Pokken.
Pokken.
Yes. Pokemon Tekken.
Pokemon Tekken. It looks alright. Looks pretty fun.
Hard to tell, really.
Yeah, there's only two. I think this is a pretty early tech demo we've seen. Yeah. Because there's two fighters.
It's coming to apparently coming to Japanese arcades next year.
Okay.
That's all they've said. But I'm sure it will come to Wii U. It'll obviously come to Wii U. Yes. I can see.
And we gotta hope it's not a Japan-only release, but I don't think it will be because Pokemon's pretty much a guaranteed seller.
I mean, they need to put Pokemon something on the Wii U. Yeah. Really. Yeah. We're not going to get fully 3D Pokemon anytime soon by the looks of it, but Pokken, I find it hard to juggle the fighting game series these days because I'm not like when I was younger, when I was quite happy to mash buttons and play them all quite lightly. These days I get quite involved in one or two.
Yeah.
And find out others. Kombat. Yeah, basically just Mortal Kombat. And then I have the other ones that I tend to buy for multiplayer sessions.
Yes.
I probably will play a lot of Smash Bros as well because I always do when that does come out. But it's kind of a proper fighter by the looks of it. I'll give it. I mean, there'll be no over-sexualising of the women characters in Pokken, I'm sure. So we've got.
I guess I'm wondering what the character choice is going to be, but I'm sure because it won't be a full 740.
I imagine there'll be a roster of 20 to 30.
Yeah,
and probably a lot of fighting characters.
Yeah, exactly. Because Machamp is a fighting. So who's the other one?
Lucario was the other one. Who is I think it's a steel fighting, but someone might want to correct me on that.
Maybe Blaziken, someone like that.
Blaziken probably.
Because everyone likes Blaziken and
probably
fighting.
Probably get Hitmonlee and Chan.
Hitmonlee and maybe Top. Who knows?
Maybe they'll take after Jet Li, not Bruce Lee, obviously.
No.
Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
In their traits, because every fighting game has to have a Bruce Lee and probably a Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
So.
Is there a Jackie Chan in Dead or Alive? That's the only one I can think of that doesn't have a Jackie Chan. Anyway.
Well, he's not as.
No, but you've got significant. You do have Lei and Tekken and stuff.
On a side note, I do like Jackie Chan because he I saw a picture of him on the internet where he had requested to take a photo with someone random on the street because he liked their dog.
Yeah.
And there's a photo of Jackie Chan and a lady and her dog.
He's a bit of a legend, Jackie Chan.
Yeah, so he's obviously a great person.
Yeah.
So he's got that going for him. So hopefully he makes it into the new Pokemon game.
Somehow.
The
thing is, Hitmonchan's a boxer, so...
Yeah, I think... Well, the names were like the westernized ones as well, so they probably Pokemon weren't based around them at all.
No.
So they're just because they're fighting types.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. So I think that's everything.
I would say that's everything I can remember at the moment.
Yeah, so. There's a lot this week, and
there was a lot. We will have missed something, definitely.
Well, we can't cover every piece of news.
No, we can't. And we had a good discussion about Sarkisian and
it's probably the most in-depth news.
And Shadow Realms. We got into some good stuff. That's definitely something we're excited about. I think Shadow Realms, or at least would try. So
I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
So
well, I quite like actual. The tabletop RPGs myself, so
it looks very hack and slashy, like Gauntlet, I guess.
Yeah,
in that respect.
Yeah.
So that was us. That was the news, and we'll see you next week for more news, and hopefully.